shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
You can stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
I'm sorry!
Congratulations! You've unlocked All Apologies, a show about apology tours and demanding satisfaction. I'm your host, Andy Q. Public, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Joe Sixpack. Joe, what's going on?
Nothing much. How's it going, everybody? Don't forget to hit up, where is it over here? allapologiespodcast.com for all the links and everything. We had a great little mini episode there. Fed Ed Z touring around the world in Disney, drinking around Epcot and everything. Go check that out for free on our Patreon if you're not already on there right now finding this. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, Andy.
Yeah, you could. There's the video itself that I put together is available on the free tier on Patreon. But then, if you really want the inside scoop from the horse's mouth, you can join the Patreon for just $5 and get all of Ed's thoughts and prayers and Joe's experience at the Lilac Festival. But then also we had content with Carl Hamburger from WATP from last week. That's on there, along with all the other content that we've done up to this point. That's all featured on the Patreon for just $5. So if you'd like to support the show financially, please do that there. But if you want to support the show for free, follow our Instagram. We're very close, Joe, to meeting my insignificant goal of beating the creep off in Instagram followers. We're about four or six. It's very close. Just when I was on the cusp, they got a few more followers. So I'm chasing them. They don't even know that they're being chased. But please follow us on Instagram so I can lord it over Vinny and he'll call me pathetic. But and then
some wrestling reference and shoot his credibility into the toilet.
Yeah. And we're trying to drum up some more followers for our YouTube channel. I'm putting a lot of excerpts from the video version of the Patreon. If you're only listening to this right now and you want to see what, Joe?
Did you say excerpts?
Excerpts.
Okay.
Is that the way to say it? Am I saying it wrong?
Sure. No.
Sure, I am. Okay. I never. Words can be hard.
I don't.
But I think I said it right. But my point is that if you're not on the Patreon, but you want to see what the video version is like, if you're only listening to this right now, there is clips on YouTube for free, and you can get a taste of what that's like. And if you fall in love with it and you want to join the Patreon, maybe that'll entice you. But we really do want to get more hours logged on YouTube so that we can do more live streaming and be a real podcast, not like this rinky-dink horse shit that we're doing now. I want to be like Blind Mike. I got Blind Mike goals, Joe.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna burn my eyes out with acid and get a big following on YouTube.
A lot of the Carl episode over on YouTube, if you want to see the video clips of Sandra Dorley episode we did.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot. I've been watching them all week or whatever as they pop up as you trickle them out. It's good stuff. That was a fun episode with them.
Joe, I want to encourage you to turn your mic up a little, your volume. I don't know. You're not either. You're just a little quiet.
How about, is this better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and stay.
And let's dive into this week's topic, which is the royal family. And I got to thank our boy Rochester Ray. I reached out to him to get the lowdown on a lot of the shenanigans that were worth covering, but you know me, I can't ignore the Epstein connection. So of course I have a ton of clips from the Prince Andrew interview where he was taken to task about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But I feel it's appropriate to start at the top, which is King Charles. And Rochester Ray clued me into the fact that Prince or King Charles gets clowned a lot for his hands, which let's pull up my slide 1 here, Joe, and you tell me if you're aware of this. Apparently, he has bloated sausage fingers that people delight in making fun of. And it looks like gout, and people have gout, their toes swell up. I think his feet and appendages are just he's so rich financially and with the food that he consumes that he's just like got inflated phalanges or something.
If I'm not mistaken, gout is referred to as the rich man's disease, right?
Right.
Because it comes from eating very rich foods and stuff like that. So he's eating all of the ribeye fat right in the middle. It's like all he eats probably.
That's what Ed's hands looked like after he got done drinking around the world. But so people clown him about this often. My slide 2, somebody photoshopped that picture with something that they thought was more appropriate.
That's disturbing looking.
Yeah.
I don't care for that.
Yeah, if you're only listening, it's more of a sausage link looking version of his hands instead of these big water balloon. It's like his hands look like if you took surgical gloves. They look like after Howie Mandel put a surgical glove over his head and blew it up on his head for his closing bit.
Right.
And I think my clip 3 there. It's just another example of this. People doing deep fake. Or not deep fake, just photoshopping his hand. That's another shot of his swelled up. They're so red too. They're red and they're angry and they're twice as big as they should be. Am I wrong, Joe?
No, I mean, is that real?
I think that's the real photo. The slide 4. This one's not real though.
The other one. No, okay, yeah, that's clearly not real. But the other one,
believe it or not, that's not real.
That's fucked up. Like, you know what? If let's just say you had the whatever quote unquote honor of meeting King Charles, and you go to shake his hand, or you are blessed enough to touch royalty, and you get this like balloon hand, and you're less like, ew.
You snatch it back, like, ew.
Yeah.
King is gross.
Right. It's just, I don't know. It seems like that's fucked up. That's more fucked up than all the other shit that we're going to be talking about coming up here.
Well, is it more fucked up than being affiliated with the Nazis or thinking that Nazis are cool? Because this is another old surprisingly, a lot of headlines about the royals come from the Sun, and apparently this is an old photo of you never know what's going on. Maybe this is all out of context, but all the kids are running around giving the Nazi salute on the cover of the Sun, and it says, if you're only listening, it says their royal hailness, and they're all Sieg Heiling.
Yeah,
maybe not appropriate.
Yeah, they if there's one thing about England at the beginning of the Aces High, Winston Churchill talks about how great Hitler was, and that he was going to hop right on board with that whole thing. England and Germany, simpatico during World War II. That's a little bit of history for all you Gen Alphas out there.
Yeah, it doesn't end there though. There's even more current Nazi praising from the royal family. My next clip, Ed. This is Prince Harry decided that it might be fun to go to a Halloween party dressed as a Nazi youth. He's got the khaki shirt with the red armband with a swastika on it. Yeah. And again, from the Sun, they got him Harry the Nazi on the cover of the Sun once again. And he did have to answer that. He claims that who's his brother? William. Yeah. And what's her name? Missing in action. I don't know anything about the royal family. Our poorly researched show. Yeah, Kate Middleton and Prince William said he had 2 costume ideas, and they said this was the better of the 2 ideas. And
the other one was he was going to go as Crazy Eyes from Orange Is the New Black, but Julianne Hough had already showed up in that, so he just slapped a fucking Nazi armband on, and he's like, I guess this is it.
yeah, not to be outdone. So that brings us to Prince Andrew, which I shamefully share a name with this guy. Not all Andrews, okay? As I'm gonna say from the top. This is not synonymous with every Andrew, but Andrew is the brother of King Charles III, and he got caught up with Jeffrey Epstein when the Black Book of everybody that ever flew on the plane to Little St. James, Prince Andrew was at the top of that list, and
Bill Clinton, Prince
Bill Clinton,
Andrew, and
Bill Gates,
Kimmel.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. So on December 30th in 2014, this is from Wikipedia. I'm just going to give a little context to anybody that might not be aware. A Florida court filing by these lawyers alleged that Prince Andrew was one of several prominent figures to have participated in sexual activities with a minor, later identified as Virginia Giuffre, who is allegedly Giuffre. I don't know. She went by Virginia Roberts. Let's just go with that. And she was allegedly sex trafficked by Epstein. And she asserted that she had sex with Prince Andrew on 3 occasions, including a trip to London in 2001 when she was 17. And later in New York and on Little St. James, she alleged that Epstein paid her $15,000 to have sex with the Duke of London. Flight logs show that the Duke and Virginia Roberts were in the places she alleged that the sex at the age of 17 happened. So
Andy Ghislaine Maxwell was talking to Virginia, whatever her name was, and she was just like,
How do you know you wouldn't like it? How do you know you wouldn't like it?
Yes, correct. So this all comes out, and Prince Andrew is like, "Oh no, this is all just one big misunderstanding. If you just let me speak to the nation publicly, I'm sure everybody will believe that I'm a good guy, and I'm gonna make everything better. I'm not gonna make it a million times worse by going on a 50-minute interview where so many gotcha moments come up with this stammering, gross fucking creep." So in clip 1, people want to know why Prince Andrew has decided to speak out now at this point.
Today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated. We've been talking to Newsnight for about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule until now. And actually, it's a very good opportunity, and I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
This guy takes the long way around to every point, more than even Joe Sixpack. This guy's so fucking long-winded. It's just like, oh, our schedules just didn't line up, and life gets in the way. But people were screaming pedophile out of moving cars as more often than usual. So I figured I should address it now. But as the evidence is piling up, it's insurmountable evidence. But how are you? How's your family today?
Yeah, and everyone's like,
This is your future, sitting and apologizing.
But what exactly is Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in clip 2?
As you say, all of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Well, I met through his girlfriend, back in 1999, who and I'd known her since she was at university in the UK. And it would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people. And I had a lot of opportunity to go to the United States, but I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year. And quite often, if I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, well, why don't you come and use my houses? So I said, that's very kind. Thank you very much indeed.
Right. I'm still going to continue to call the woman Jizz Lane. I think that's pretty funny. But I was always disappointed that there wasn't a more public resolution to what happened with her. I really thought that she was going to get killed too. And the fact that she didn't was disappointing to me. I'm not wishing harm on somebody, but I just figured that she must have been more insulated than Jeffrey was.
Her dad's powerful too,
Yeah,
and shit.
the Clintons couldn't get to her or something. But
yeah, Prince Andrew's just like, I just couldn't, get away from piping all of the hot young teenagers in England, and when I came to America, and he said, come pipe all of these 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I took him up on that offer.
Yeah. Of course, Jeffrey wanted me to stay at his house because it's a lot easier to sneak 17-year-olds into a private residence than it is at the Waldorf. There's no, teens aren't popping out from under room service carts, or bellhops aren't complaining that they could hear somebody binging Euphoria from inside a steamer trunk as I sneak 17-year-olds into Prince Andrew's hotel room.
Well, I believe the whole bit was, blackmailing powerful people, right? So Epstein probably has his whole house wired up with cameras and audio to, to get footage and blackmail these people. So
you nailed it. That's 100% Epstein's move. Mm-hmm. But Andrew wants everybody to know that all these allegations people are just reaching to connect dots that aren't really there in clip 3.
But it would be a considerable stretch to say that. But he had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together, and that's the bit that I remember, is going to the dinner parties where you would meet academics, politicians, people from the United Nations. I mean, it was a cosmopolitan group of what I would describe as US eminence.
Was that his
capping, bro?
Was that what you? Because you were perceived by the public as being the party prince. Was that something you shared?
I think that's also a bit of a stretch.
Oh, I see now. What, Ed?
He was extraordinary at bringing together all that teenage puss.
Yeah, right. Yeah, see that he was just networking. Jeffrey Epstein had all these connections that Prince Andrew wanted to take advantage of. He really wanted to connect with this Yale professor that was at an Epstein's party because of all the Alzheimer's research that Prince Andrew wanted to support, but he couldn't do that without going to Jeffrey Epstein's rainbow party.
Right, because
I'm a madman.
I'm the party prince. How did Andrew get the reputation of being the party prince in clip 4?
I don't know why I've collected that title, because I never have really partied. I was single for quite a long time in the early 80s. But then after I got married, I was very happy, and I've never really felt the need to go and.
I'm just about that action, boss.
Certainly, going to Jeffrey's was not about partying. Absolutely not.
You said.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, sure, but have you ever partied without electricity? Have you ever taken a bath and puked into your own bath water? That's what everybody really wants to know.
Yeah.
Jeffrey wasn't about partying. It was about people with power exerting that power over people with less power. And
Yeah, I
Prince
like
Andrew was
Teddy.
exerting it over underage chicks, and Jeffrey was exerting it over Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton, Diddy
Andy,
style.
Andy, I want Patty C Cups to be like, have you ever partied without electricity? Have you ever partied in the woods? Have you ever partied with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Now, while Prince Andrew had to answer for his presence at Epstein's guest at numerous events, he also has to answer for the fact that Epstein was his guest at the royal palace. So, how does he explain that?
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart
Yes,
of the
but-
royal family at your
but-
invitation.
But certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation. But remember that it was his girlfriend that was the key element in this. He was the, as it were, plus one to some extent in that aspect.
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend.
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
Okay, well, let me just take this opportunity to throw myself under the bus on behalf of the royal family. It didn't have anything to do with the royal family. It was all my fault. But allow me to use Ghislaine Maxwell as a human shield while the bus pulls up, because it's all because I was friends with her, not Epstein, and it was just an innocent shooting weekend. We were shooting skeet. Jeffrey was shooting footage of me skeeting up minors. It was a shooting weekend.
Shooting loads everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe fuck yourself.
Shooting teenage ass.
Mm-hmm.
Now Andrew needs to take accountability for the pile of evidence that had a long-term association with Epstein. There are many examples of encounters they shared together. Any normal person is going to assume that where there's smoke, there's fire in clip 6.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes,
You've been to stay on his private island.
yes,
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
yes,
You visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
yes.
So in 2006, in May, an arrest warrant was issued for Epstein for sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July, he was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter, Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. Why would you do that?
Because I was asking Ghislaine. But even so, at the time, I don't think certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States. And I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it, because he never said anything about it.
Right. I wasn't friends with Epstein so much as I was friends with the woman that recruited all of the underage girls that banged Epstein. Think of it like this, Joe. Jeffrey Epstein is Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, and Ghislaine Maxwell is Seymour, who's finding all of the killing the people. She's bringing lambs to the slaughter. So, Prince Andrew is more of like an Audrey 3 in that regard. He's also a monster that is just lining up for a free lunch from this woman who is recruiting minors to fuck freaks. But
right. You want to be friends with the pimp, not with the guy that fucks the whores.
The John. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And Prince Andrew's like,
Why you bringing up old shit?
Yeah, right. But to his credit, and I'd give him none, but if it was me, I would have no idea what somebody's warrants for their arrest in the UK were if they didn't volunteer that information. And why would they? That's fuck this guy, but that's not like, Jeffrey Epstein never mentioned that he had a warrant out for his arrest. Yeah, I believe that. So
I mean, to that point, I think the more important thing is that where's all the people around this guy that should be, vetting anybody who's getting close to the royals or anything like that, that are aware of Ghislaine Maxwell and aware of Jeffrey Epstein, like Secret Service type people.
Yeah, you're right. Somebody should have been on top of this.
I always blame the assistants, like the people that are being paid to do a job and they're clearly failing. You know, what I mean, yeah, he's a scumbag. There's no disputing that, but there's also a long trail of failures leading up to this as well.
Right. He must have had Johnny Depp's assistant that didn't get the paperwork for the dogs to get to Australia.
Exactly.
That guy got fired, and then Prince Andrew hired him. So lest anyone believe that the royals aren't controlled by the institution or the business of the monarchy, or there's something called the firm, which is the senior working members of the royal family. These are people that are like calling the shots with it. That, like, when people talk about, you know, why Harry and Meghan left the family, it's because the firm and the institution are running these people's lives. You know, these people aren't telling Andrew that his playdates with Epstein are done. So that's not why he's doing this. He's doing this because it was all Andrew's idea as a person who's supposed to be respected and is, you know, taking his role as a public figure seriously in clip 7.
Who advised you then that it was a good idea to go and break up the friendship? Did that come from the palace? Was Her Majesty the Queen involved?
No. That came from. So there were a number of people who so some people from my staff, some people from friends and family I was talking to, and I took the decision that it was I had to show leadership and I had to go and see him and I had to tell him that's it.
Think of all that we've been through, and breaking up is hard to do.
So they set you straight, did they? Mommy and Daddy said you can't play with your best friend Jeffrey anymore because he's a bad influence on you. Sure.
There's something similar. Oh, that's what it was. When we did Anthony Weiner, this is an Anthony Weiner scenario of you get your ass out there and take responsibility for this and fucking make sure that we are not associated with this. Hillary Clinton is not associated with Anthony Weiner, and Prince Andrew is not fucking, you know, the royals have nothing to do with you waving your dick around in front of 13-year-olds. Okay.
Right,
You
exactly.
get out there and fucking own this shit, you stupid idiot.
Now, unfortunately for Andrew, the timeline doesn't exactly add up. So they're going to press him for more of an explanation in clip 8.
Just trying to work this out, because you said you went to break up the relationship and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long.
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
Yeah, it's just so close to the airport, Joe. It's equidistance between my drug dealer and my girlfriend's high school. What don't you get?
The floor is littered with nude minors. It's very convenient.
And anyone with a shred of common sense would say that you can't hang out with Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Mansion and not pick up what he's putting down. You think about things in the context like that, and you might ask Prince Andrew how he didn't realize what Epstein was all about.
Now, with the benefit of a huge amount of hindsight and a huge amount of analysis, you look back and you go, well, was that really the way that it was? Or was I looking at it the wrong way? But you don't go into these places, you don't go to stay with people looking for that.
You could not spend time around him. That was what they said. You could not spend time around him and not know.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time, and I don't wish to appear grand, but there were a lot of people who were walking around Jeffrey Epstein's house. As far as I was aware, they were staff. They were people that were working for him.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey Epstein's staff. Well, la-di-da. I have a bunch of house servants that I actively ignore Well, and you said it was an institution there, by the way, so that proves your theory. It squashes the assertion that no one told you to break up with Epstein. But watching this doughy creep squirm is the best part of this. He's just such a fucking scumbag.
He's like, yeah, now with the benefit of hindsight, I go, oh my gosh, that Lolita didn't like blowing coke lines off of my dong. I the whole time I thought she was into it. Turns out she was being forced to do it. Now with hindsight's 2020.
Makes perfect sense now when you put it that way. The next clip I put into the category of people who have seen Bigfoot, people who have been abducted by aliens, or people that think that President Biden is well spoken. This is just like implausible things in clip 10.
Epstein was found dead.
Yep.
In prison.
Yes.
In August of this year.
Yep.
What was your response on hearing that he'd died?
Shock.
Some people think that he didn't take his own life.
Well, there again, I'm not one to be able to answer that question. I believe that centers around something to do with a bone in his neck, as to whether or not if you commit suicide, that bone breaks or something. But I'm afraid to say I'm not an expert. I have to take what the coroner says, and he has ruled that it was suicide.
But we did it, everyone. We found the one person that actually believes Epstein killed himself. What's up, Ed?
There's so much, but I think that he and William Clinton may have had something to do with it.
Right?
You think so?
Well, absolutely no one believes this. People that think that the very mention of conspiracy theories puts you in like a crackpot category, even those people don't believe the official story that Epstein killed himself. But this guy thinks he did. I wonder why.
Prince Andrew's just like, I don't know, the bone in the neck. I'm only an expert on like one bone. You know.
Yeah. That's like a game I like to play, like in friendly situations when I meet somebody for the first time. My icebreaker is, did Epstein kill himself? I asked Drew Lane when I met him for the first time in Detroit. That's the first thing I said to him. I was like, hey, Drew, nice to meet you. Did Epstein kill himself? That's how I start conversations. Nobody ever says yes, is my point. Not one person, except Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Now, let's find out how this scandal has affected Prince Andrew's family and his wife and daughters. They must have thought that his involvement, was very peculiar, that their squeaky clean dad would be involved with a scumbag like Jeffrey Epstein in clip 11.
I wonder what effect all this has had on your close family. You've got daughters of your own.
None of your fucking business.
What I would describe as a constant sore in the family. We all knew him.
A cold sore on my dick.
And I think if we have a conversation about it, we're all left with the same thing of what on earth happened. Well, how did he get to where he was? What did he do? How did he do it?
Are you a psychiatrist?
How could this possibly have happened? Oh, well, it's easy. He was insulated by rich people and powerful people and like-minded people. That's how he did it. Andrew, do you know anybody like that, maybe? Quick, somebody get me a mirror to hold up to Prince Andrew. See if he knows anybody that is a pedophile that has a lot of money and power. I fucking hate this guy. I really hate this guy. All right, this is my last clip. Does Prince Andrew have any regrets that he ever even met Jeffrey Epstein? Now, that seems like an easy question with an obvious answer, but let's watch this stammering pedophile fuck it up.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming. He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
It's unbecoming. Smoking crack on a public bus is unbecoming, Joe. Putting rat poison in your husband's mashed potatoes because you're sick of looking at him is unbecoming. You see what I mean? Like I'm being polite to a sex offender. Unbecoming.
We covered this briefly with the Dan Schneider apology, where he is talking about Brian Peck and he says he did his time. And it's just like,
Right.
no. That doesn't apply here. It's not like I boosted cars when I was young to, make ends meet. You don't just move on from being a pedophile.
It's a bad look for Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew.
Who would have thought Jeffrey Epstein was the one getting off light?
All right. Well, that is the Prince Andrew package. A lot of people might be saying that these aren't apologies. We're covering a lot of things. The king's hands. There's nothing to apologize for. You're just a freak of nature. That's not your fault. And the Nazi stuff. There was never any really public audio for us to play here. And Prince Andrew obviously never said he was sorry about anything. He's just, claiming that he was friends with Ghislaine Maxwell and just incidentally involved with Epstein. And you were kind of saying that the royal family never really says out loud that they're sorry. They just do what you were suggesting last week, which is sending a picture of a written apology to the newspaper. And that's how they apologize. So there's not a whole lot of evidence of this, but there are plenty of scandals and written apologies, right, Joe?
Right. Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head there. The point being here, or anybody who may be a stickler for maybe the topic or the point of this show being the apologies, they've apologized many times for various things. It's just that they are experts at doing it, in that it's never a recorded apology of somebody on camera speaking the words "I'm sorry." It is a written, sorry, boot that, and they wrote it down and took a picture of it and then sent it off to the Sun or whatever, and case closed. They're moving on. Exactly. So yeah, so that is obviously a horrible one. Before we kind of move into the next topics here, I think I started looking around for one, like we said, there's not really this apology that like stands out. So I started looking at, what do we have going on, that is interesting here. And I'm like, well, let me check out, at one point we thought Carl would be on for this episode. So I'm like, let me check out podcasts about the Royals. And I think one of the things I want to say up front before we get into this package is that people who are very passionate about the Royals or who are into it, I equate it with like men who like the WWE, right? Like they get like really super excited about these sweaty guys hugging each other, okay? Women get very obsessed over the Royals. And if you like the Royals, you hate Harry and Meghan. And a lot of these podcasts are just like sucking off the Queen. The Queen was everything to essentially women, right? So in my first clip here, there was a podcast called Royally Obsessed that I was checking out. And so here is one of the hosts of Royally Obsessed podcast weighing in on the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth.
Cover them professionally in the Royally Obsessed podcast. Obviously, you're very invested in the Royals. How are you feeling today?
Honestly, I was a little taken aback by my reaction. I obviously, she was 96 years old. This was expected, but I was absolutely gutted, as is our audience with Royally Obsessed. We've been hearing from them all day, just looking for that community to share their grief. I've been so emotional all day.
Yeah. Andy, when they crowned King Charles, I was like, hey, the fucking patriarchy is back, man. Like, we hear about the patriarchy all the time. The fucking Patriot. We did it, guys. We did. Patriarchy's back, everybody. It's the stupid matriarchy. That dumb bitch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Return of the fucking patriarchy. So
I have some advice for that woman. Grow the fuck up.
No kidding. It's all this like Disney princess shit. And so what I did was I started focusing in on these people who are obsessed with the royals because they're fucking lame ass losers. So we were watching that interview and I came across what I thought was a great cringe of the week. So here's my submission for cringe of the week for WATP.
He's chosen, environmentalism, things like that. So we're obviously keeping a close watch on everything he has ahead. And also Queen Consort Camilla, that's a huge change. So a lot to follow along with in the coming months and years.
Guys, can you hear him conducting a fucking interview over here? I know it's the break room, but could you shut up for 2 fucking seconds?
I'm sorry. I'm conducting this interview from the ER at a hospital. Yeah. Somebody just came in with a GSW.
Yeah, those people didn't give one shit that the queen died. So I called, from Meghan Kelly did a whole thing about, I think it was when Harry and Meghan were getting married, is just like obviously a big event for these fucking losers.
Oh my God, she's a real life princess. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. So from the Meghan Kelly show, here's a couple of party animals.
This is it. This is our one chance to make a big deal out of a royal wedding.
When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their engagement, friends Julie Brillhart and Anita Kitchen quickly began organizing a royal wedding viewing party near Julie's hometown of Dayton, Ohio. And they put up a webpage where other friends could join in and throw their own parties. Before they knew it,
you are one pathetic loser.
We're in 92 countries so far on all the continents except for Antarctica.
Yeah. Queen Elizabeth. Princess Meghan Markle. So I'm bringing the cucumber sandwiches, and we fucking just saw the Kentucky Derby. It just looks like an excuse. Ooh, put on our fucking hats and throw a party. Put it on Facebook, everyone.
Yeah, any excuse to ignore how pathetic your life is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pathetic, coming out of left field, clip 4.
Kentucky artist Steve Casino honors the royals in his own little way.
I paint miniature caricatures on nuts and Tic Tacs. I always liked the Queen. As a child, we had corgis, and so I was drawn to the Queen because she had corgis. I just thought that she looked so good on a Tic Tac, and I made her corgis to go with her.
Yeah, that's Steve Casino. Please report to the day room. Your medication is ready. Steve Casino.
I've seen people waste time, but I've never seen people waste time like that. That is a complete waste of time.
In my clip 5 here, I call this one, I want to flip this table over so bad.
Alison Lackey Peschel's obsession earned her a spot on a 2011 BBC TV show filled with royal challenges. She nailed the curtsy competition.
Pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty.
Back home in Chicago, Alison celebrated Will and Kate's engagement with a hen-do, the British version of a bachelorette party, in honor of the royal bride-to-be.
My girlfriends and I all got together and we wore fascinators and we went to tea at the Drake where Princess Diana had famously stayed and visited in Chicago, and it was so much fun.
You're a fascinator. I want to fucking knock that teacup out of all their fucking hands. All the fucking pearls would be clutched.
I want to turn this off so bad because I hate them all so much.
Yeah.
I got a good rogering on my hen-do. Did ya?
So here's more from Allison. Clip 6.
Remember when Prince George sported a royal robe when he met President Obama? Allison's daughter had to have one too.
Tie it up like Prince George. I ordered these pajamas that they had a special for when Prince Louis was born.
Your baby looks like Jeffrey Ross at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah. That baby was pimping. He was out pimping Obama.
No shit. So that's enough of those fucking people. Okay. This is why
the simps.
This whole thing is extra irritating, are people like that. So the thing that I was a couple of weeks ago that was current with this topic was Meghan Markle's deal with Netflix being kind of rocky. And we start looking back at, I mean, you think of the royals, and if you're going to not want to, Jeffrey Epstein yourself, then you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to focus on Meghan Markle here because at least there's some eye candy, available for that. So I was actively running towards Meghan Markle in this assignment. So one of the biggest controversies was that Harry and Meghan were paid $18 million by Spotify for a podcast that went 12 episodes and then went fucking nosediving into the toilet. So
yeah, these people are not interesting, episode to episode. It's like you were a prince and a princess and now you're not. And that was the most interesting thing about you and you threw it in the garbage.
Yeah, the most interesting thing about Meghan Markle is who she knows, right? And she had, I'm a Mariah Carey fan deep down in my heart here. So here's two ninnies that can't figure out how to compliment each other.
There might be this persona, and yes, the diva thing we can play into. I mean, it's not something that I connect to, but for you, it's been a huge part of your
diva moments sometimes, Meghan. Don't even act like don't act like you. It's also the visual. It's the visual. A lot of it's the visual. Because
see, that's the thing. I associate it differently.
Fascinating little exchange there.
So
it's so fascinating. So you've said it all. What a fucking all these hens clucking. Who could possibly give a shit? It's not like it was a good interview where you learned anything new.
Yeah, the Meghan Markle at one point comments like she was calling me a diva, and I was taking that as like a dig, and Mariah Carey's just like, no, fucking diva is everything. Like when you are actually a diva, it's a compliment. And she was like complimenting her, but Meghan Markle's was like, I'm no diva, it's so stupid. So yeah, I'm only saying it because I at least have to have some clip of how shitty that podcast was, because it only went 12 episodes. And then, so now here, there it is, the cursor. So the shifting gears to focus on Meghan Markle because va 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 voom. But let's look at this Spotify clip here, shitting the bed.
Spotify have ended its lucrative deal with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex for the couple to produce podcasts. A joint statement from Harry and Meghan's company and the streaming giant said they had mutually agreed to part their ways. Spotify confirmed it was not renewing Meghan's podcast Archetypes, which ran for 12 episodes from August 2022 for a second series. The contract was estimated to be worth about £18 million.
Right.
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
I think I said most of that before, but so Spotify gambled big on Harry and Meghan being the next Joe Rogan and being interesting, and surprise, they're not interesting. So
Sussex, more like sucks dicks. Am I right, folks?
So Spotify eats about 18 million on 12 episodes of total bullshit.
They're just throwing money in the toilet left and right. What are they doing?
I don't, Eck or whatever his name is over there, like they're just, setting piles of money on fire looking for the next Joe Rogan. So Ian Collins brings in a like Royals / fucking entertainment personality here, guys. So here's this guy who really wanted it to be good, weighs in.
You want to actually bring voices of other people, not making you part of the story. Yeah. And I think that's what they found hard, or she may have found hard, is to sort of let go and actually say, right, I'm going to ask the questions. It's all going to be about the person I'm interviewing, because then actually, as the interviewer, you will get the plaudits for getting the best out of your subject and making it interesting. Isn't that the way it works? And I feel is what happened to the archetypes, in that it was bland.
Yeah, it was bland. So, I mean, she has to be on camera. Otherwise, we hear the words or lack thereof coming out of her head. Making Meghan Markle our audio only is like watching porn for the plot. I don't know if there was a video element on Spotify, but I didn't give enough of a shit to dig too deep into it. I was just like, let me listen to this part. That sucks. Yeah, this all sucks.
Yeah, right. I mean, she is exceptionally good looking, but I guess she is kind of a bitch and not interested, not a compelling interviewer, and not
Yeah,
or interviewee.
I watched one thing where they have no idea what to do with themselves at this point either. That like Kevin Costner was throwing some type of charity event where he was actually receiving an award, and they were like invited to present him with the award. And you've never seen two people like have no idea what to fucking do with themselves. They have no idea how to mingle with like regular people. You know, you would think Meghan Markle climbed, the chain to get on Suits. She had to do something other than look hot. No, apparently not. That's all she ever did. My wife was saying that she was always one of the most annoying parts of the show. But digging around, I landed on a YouTube channel called The Queen. I'm sure you could probably go to YouTube and find a couple of different channels called The Queen for whatever reason. But this one in particular, this woman focuses on the royals. And this woman does not like Harry and Meghan, and apparently rightly so. Like I mentioned before, if you were a fan of Queen Elizabeth, you're a fan of Prince William and Princess Kate and King Charles now and things like, you're a fan of the monarchy. If there's two people that are like, fuck the monarchy, we're related to these people and we don't even give a fuck about it, then if you're a fan, like the people that we looked at the very beginning here, they all hate Harry and Meghan. They hate them. And this woman is one of those people. Her channel is just dedicated to shitting on Meghan Markle nonstop. Meghan and Harry. It is a fucking delight. So let's look at this first clip 10, on the award that they were giving Harry, or that he was giving out.
Prince Harry was accused of defrauding veterans by charging $250,000 to award a vanity award to a woman, some veteran, by the Military Times. So many people are wondering who exactly is sponsoring these absurd awards, because they're not sponsored or awarded by the U.S. military. And if Harry really was paid $250,000 for a Zoom call, there is something seriously wrong with that. That's a lot of money. And some sources are also saying that this money came from the billionaire Lakshmi Mittal, who not only funded Military Times, but also has owned mines in Congo, where the Baka people have been tortured and even murdered. So if this accusation is true, then it could explain Harry's silence surrounding the crimes committed against the Baka people by Harry's own charity rangers, the African Parks Charity Rangers.
Right. So there's some type of, and this is current, actually. This is happening right now, where there's this billionaire who owns this mining company. They're like strip mining the Congo, and Harry has this African charity rangers. I don't know what the fuck it is, but they're complicit or part of the genocide. I don't know. So he's like partly funding a genocide and then being paid backhandedly to present awards to American soldiers. It's like real fucked up. Like,
are they like hiding money? Is that what part of it is? Because they seem like they don't really know. They're collecting all this money and then it's being funneled to different places.
Well, it just seemed like a hush money payment of like, here, we're just gonna like slip you to, but like, I mean, $250,000 to the Meghan Markle and Harry seems like really nothing, like almost a formality.
For them it is, but it's got to be hard for Harry. First, you're in the royal family and everybody loves you, and then you're out of it and everybody hates you.
Next thing you know, they breaking you off some goddamn disrespect.
Yeah. So I'm going to call this lady the queen that we're listening to here. You know, a fair report of the quote unquote scandal surrounding Harry. Lots of underhanded shit is alleged to have gone down. Harry has to keep that broad, you know, in Chanel or whatever she's demanding of him. So he has to take work wherever he can get it. Do you think he feels like an asshole out here in the real world? Is just like, I was a prince and now I'm a slave to that ass. You know, he's just like has to do whatever to keep her happy, basically.
Well, he's
So-
going bald.
So who isn't? In this clip, the queen takes the gloves off, you know, to let us know how she really feels about Prince Harry. Now, remember what I said about a fair report in that last clip that we heard? Forget all that.
Harry's a liar. He's a coward. He has tried to destroy his own family. I mean, Harry is such a fraud. He is such an embarrassment, such a moron. Does he really think the American military wants or needs recognition from a loser like him? How arrogant of him, shamelessly displaying medals that he didn't even earn. He actually charged money to honor veterans with phony awards. Harry's not a real soldier. The two of them are so tone deaf and so inappropriate. I swear it's almost like a joke. If Harry or Meghan were real philanthropists, wouldn't they do these things for free anyway? Or wouldn't they give the money to charity? They care about helping themselves, but they don't care about helping the people. They make me sick. Who put this whole thing together?
So if you're going to come at the king, you best not miss. And the queen is going for the jugular here. Women who love the monarchy hate Harry and Meghan for leaving because they essentially said it was all bullshit.
Mhm.
Okay. So in moving on from Harry, because who gives a fuck? Let's get into the Meghan Markle shit, right? We more Meghan, the better in this whole thing. And so, yeah. So in this part, the current tea around Meghan is that her brand, American Riviera Orchard, is dead on arrival, and her cooking show on Netflix, like it hinges on the brand, is just and it's just not going to happen. Is the speculation? So the brand is DOA, the Netflix deal is DOA. So before we find out more, here's a supercut of every time the Queen says Netflix.
Netflix, 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 so Netflix, just Netflix, 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 Netflix. Okay, Netflix money, Netflix, 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 Netflix.
I think this is a Texas accent, and I love it. I mean, she talks mad shit coming like she shredded Harry. Now here the Queen breaks down Meghan like someone I know shreds Stuttering John.
Harry and Meghan are despised. Meghan Markle has no business sense. She's lazy and she doesn't actually put any work into anything. Nobody is going to buy anything that she's involved with because she can't do it on her own. She's such a joke. Nothing is real when it comes to Meghan. It's all just so tacky and trashy, but then again, that's Meghan. They know it's impossible to work with her. And Meghan has really lost her mind. She's a complete disaster and she ruins everything she touches. It's all about her reputation as a money-hungry, greedy, lazy grifter. This just shows how inadequate Meghan is. It makes no sense.
So Meghan will be moving into a Roach Motel in Canoga Park in about 10 years.
Yeah.
The Queen. I called this one Girl Boss.
So Meghan is basically really busy doing nothing at all. Nobody wants to work for her. She was never really going to get this business going. This was just the Dior deal all over again. There are a couple of fraudsters who have to ask Hollywood celebrities to help them sell products. Hard work, which again is not Meghan's forte. How completely incompetent she is at business. They know she has no good ideas. She just plagiarizes other people's good ideas. And I'm sure that Meghan would underpay anybody willing to work for her. Pair of talentless grifters. Meghan's going to act like the whole thing never happened. They're talent-free, I guess we could say. He's still trying to squeeze some value out of those two losers. Those egos need to be flushed out of existence. This is just Meghan being desperate right now. It makes no sense.
She keeps saying it makes no sense. So killing the game there, Meghan Markle. Oh, okay. So one of the clear indicators that American Riviera Orchard is failing is that they can't lock down a CEO for the business side of that brand.
This is it's so bizarre. They have like all of the clout and name recognition to be attached to something successful, and they can't figure it out. It's like, how much of a fuck up are you?
It should be Gene Simmons from Kiss, right? Like you know, Meghan Markle. What do you got? Cranberries? You know, Meghan Markle cranberries. What do you got?
Yeah.
A coffin, Kiss coffin. You know, it's just like it should be 1-to-1, right?
Perfume,
Yeah.
fucking towels, kitchenware, whatever.
So they mentioned the Dior deal in that clip. So she was supposed to have a brand, you know, she was supposed to be the face of Christian Dior at one point. And I guarantee the Queen or the firm, like you said, like the people who are associated with the royals were like, because Christian Dior has a long history with the royals as far as like dressing them and shit. And they're like, Meghan Markle is not the fucking face of Dior. And they gave it to one of the actresses from The Crown. Like the deal that Meghan Markle was supposed to get, they gave to a actress who was playing a royal instead of Meghan Markle.
So that's the biggest backhanded fuck you ever.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned they can't find a CEO for American Riviera Orchard. Here's the Queen saying CEO in a supercut.
CEO, 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 CEO.
Netflix, CEO, Netflix.
That's Netflix CEO. I think it's a Dallas accent. I'm guessing. I just picture a huge head of blonde hair sitting in a Cadillac with horns on the front of it. That's the Queen. Okay, so here is why American Riviera Orchard sucks.
This has to go down in history as one of the biggest brand failures to launch ever. This business is doomed to failure. Jam scam, American Riviera Orchard scam. The name is really stupid. It's not worth anything. Those two fools. I'm kind of excited to watch this crash and burn. I just don't think it's going to go far. Meghan Markle's company exists in name only. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's some tax fraud involved or some grifting involved somehow. It doesn't even make sense. The American Riviera Orchard brand does have a lot of risk of collapsing too because Meghan Markle has no business savvy, but it's worthless. American Riviera Orchard scheme. The whole project, though, is nothing but a scam. American Riviera Orchard is collapsing quicker than I even thought it would. I think all of it's just made up. I mean, there's nothing of substance coming from either Harry nor Meghan.
The word allegedly is never said in this video. This woman just shreds and speculates the entire time. She lights the wreckage on fire and starts recording the next slam piece. Well done, ma'am. She does, like, at the end of the video, be like, well, that's just my opinion, you know? So to finish everything off for this, I think I mentioned it to you, Andy. Brian Simpson had a comedy special on Netflix recently, and it was like Brian Simpson live at the mothership. I think this is like the first comedy special that has like Joe Rogan's mothership attached to it. So I recorded it, but it didn't record the video, but it did record the audio. So this is just an audio clip of Brian Simpson talking about the setting us all straight on the royals, basically.
Y'all heard of Queen Elizabeth? This this seemingly immortal, racist, crypt keeper looking bitch that finally fucking died when they found the Infinity Stones or whatever killed that fucking cunt. Yeah. Grown all the fuck you want, you bootlickers. How dare you be a real American worshiping the royal family like they fucking matter? They are. Listen, they are objectively the worst family that has ever lived. all they've ever done is steal shit, destroy cultures, and fuck their cousins. They just the Targaryens with no dragons. They not better than you.
And I encourage
Fantastic.
everybody to go watch that. He does. There's a much broader, bigger bit that's just the setup to it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Brian's Simpson special on Netflix, go check that out. But yeah, they're fucked up people. Then they're not better than you.
Yeah. Terrific. I mean, I would give every element of this episode across the board this. With this specifically for Prince Andrew.
Chillamo.
But beyond that, it's just like that Brian nailed it there. These people are the worst. And I don't know why people insist on paying them so much mind. Like
all the people that are obsessed with them that we looked at the beginning of my package there. I mean, it's just as, like I said, I mean, it's just for fun. You know, you want to get dressed up and eat fucking drink tea and have little sandwiches and shit like that. I get that. You know, you want to dream about marrying a prince and, you know, being a princess and shit. You know, it's all just a fucking daydream. And if you treat it any more than that, you're fucking you're retarded.
That's fine. I'm gonna go cosplay as the Black Captain America at Comic-Con instead. But yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot there, and you did a great job rounding up that Meghan Markle shit. I don't get it with her. It's just like, is anybody more useless?
She just wants to be the face. Like I really do hope that the Netflix cooking show comes out, because she's just like, I think she wants to be like, you know, my Aunt Jemima used to show me how to make biscuits, you know, like I think she thinks she can cook, and it's just a disgrace. Like she needs everything prepped for her, you know. Like, have you seen Bert Kreischer's cooking show?
Yeah.
It's gonna be that. It's going to be just a total mess, basically.
Yeah, she won't like that either. She can't do anything. She sucks at everything. She's they're squandering everything. They have everything, and they're squandering it all.
Yep.
But so, you know, that just it's just so wild. Especially the Andrew Epstein stuff. I'll never hesitate to bring up Epstein on the show every chance I get. And I want to thank everybody that is supporting the show on Patreon. I want to encourage other people to check out what we have going on over there. There's free content. If you don't want to support the show financially, for just $5 a month, you get the video element of the show. You get bonus mini episodes that are exclusive to the Patreon. But if you just want to check out what's going on over there for free, there is free content. And I want everybody to please follow the show on Instagram, comment, and rate and review the show wherever you listen to a podcast.
Also, Andy, plug your watch along with Kaylee.
Thanks, Joe. I did forget about that. I do have a new show that we're doing. We're going to be doing it probably once a month, the second Thursday of every month. So it's called Thursday Matinee on Twitch. If you go to twitch.tv/Thursday Matinee, Kaylee and I are doing watch along things. We just did Surviving the Game. And the week before that, we did Carney. We're doing a Gary Busey thing right now. And this coming Thursday, we're watching a ridiculous horror movie called The Ginger Dead Man. It's kind of like Child's Play, except Gary Busey is the voice of a killer gingerbread man. And that looks really fucking dumb. So, and that's all free on Patreon too. If you can't make it to the live watch along, we're on Twitch, where you can jump in the comment section, and the likes of a Husey and little Lemmy were in there last week, chopping it up with us while we watched the movie. But if you can't be there at 7:30 on Thursday, you can just roll over to our Thursday Matinee Patreon, and the live stream episodes are hosted there for free. So there's nothing stopping you from checking that out. And again, I want to thank everybody for supporting the show in all of the ways. For Joe's Six Pack, I'm Andy Q. Public saying,
Be sorry.